Joining me now is BVS CEO and cybersecurity expert Scott Schober to shed some light on this for us. So, Scott, who should be held accountable for these privacy breaches?
Well, it should be the end user ultimately that has to have concern for it, because obviously the large companies, the Apples, the Googles, and others are really protected with their policies there. So the onus is really on us to make sure, just like you said, you got to have a great password there and think about security consciously on a regular basis. So you're not the next victim.
I agree with you, Scott, but do you think that such a high-profile leak of celebrities, do you think that's going to change the game a little bit? Is Apple and other companies going to be more pressured to start coming up with better security measures for users?
Yeah, good point. You know they're going to step it up right now, especially after yesterday's announcement with all these hot items that they released with the iPhone 6, the 6 Plus, the Watch, Apple Pay. Security is a prime concern for Apple as well as other large companies that have hardware and software. So they're going to step it up, especially after this last hack.
I want to bring up the cloud again. These celebrity pictures that were hacked into, did someone actually hack into the cloud itself, or was someone just really good at guessing the security passwords here?
It was not the Apple's iCloud that was actually hacked, as initially was reported, but it was really targeted celebrities, about 200 or so that the target was against, and it was amassed over about a 6-month period that they were targeting them. And what they simply did was really, they had simple passwords there. They did not have, in any of the cases, complex passwords. They did not have two-factor authentication, which you mentioned earlier, which does help significantly to minimize a breach.
It does help, but from what I've read, Scott, the problem with that two-step verification is that for automatic backups and things of that nature, they don't ask for that two-step verification again, or if you get a new device. So in this situation, would that have even helped these celebrities or regular folks like us that are afraid of getting our iClouds hacked into?
It probably would have helped to some degree, but the other factor there, too, that they didn't talk a whole lot about is the security challenge questions. And one thing everybody forgets about is with social media, and especially celebrities, you can't use the basic questions there. What high school did you go to?
That's true.
Use that as a password. If you have 3 security challenge questions, why don't you use 3 different passwords or even random data that no one else would do? Then no one would ever be able to get the security challenge questions. That's what I typically do.
And I understand that too, Scott, and we need to be better at protecting ourselves here, because at the end of the day, it's us and it's also the companies. But I want to bring it back to, you said passwords. What do you tell regular folks like me that have 15 different passwords with numbers and characters and asterisks and exclamation points, and we can't remember all these complicated things? What do we realistically do here?
Well, we're all in the same boat. I have the same thing. I have a little black book that I write these passwords. I change them once a month. And it sounds crazy.
Wow.
Once a month, you need to change these. Never use the same password on your bank account as well as your login somewhere else or a social media site. Different passwords for each. As you mentioned, 15 characters, symbols. Put in the backslash there, an asterisk, whatever. Maximum security on your password.
Gotcha. We all need to be a little bit better about that. Is Congress going to be kind of inspired by this latest high-profile leak to come up with some better rules regarding our cybersecurity here?
Yeah, good point. They have to start implementing some basic set of laws that everybody plays, so we're all playing fair in the sandbox. Right now, it's very unknown, especially, as we mentioned, from country to country. It makes it extremely difficult to try to prosecute or go after somebody when there is a breach such as this nature. It's expensive.
Not only that, too, but a lot of people, we don't read these little contracts in Apple that says that pretty much releases them from any liability here. So from my perspective, yes, we need to change our habits as users, but also companies like Apple, they should be protecting their customers. We give them enough money. We should be able to trust that the data that we're taking on our phones is automatically backed up, isn't going to be leaked somewhere, because for me, that's, even if you don't take any pictures like these celebrities have, it's still scary. We don't know. We don't want everybody to see our pictures all the time. So are we going to change our habits? Is that the message to us consumers, is don't take a picture you don't want to get out there?
It could be that, or more importantly, check your settings, your iCloud settings. You actually tell iCloud what you do want or do not want to be stored on the cloud. So, for example, on my iPhone, I do not have any of my photos go up to the iCloud. Not that I have anything compromising, but I don't want to reveal anything to anybody else or have a chance.
Those are personal. Yeah, whether or not they're explicit or not, they're still personal. And the next thing I want to move to real quickly, we don't have much time left, but I want to move to more of like customer security because, as I mentioned earlier, the Target hacking scandal as well, where our physical financial security is at stake. So what can we do as online shoppers to better protect ourselves beyond the passwords? Should we be changing our habits?
Changing habits to some degree. Fortunately, most of the breaches, the Target, the Neiman Marcus, even the recent Home Depot ones, those were actually at the point-of-sale terminals where the mag stripe was ripped off basically by hackers and stored there with a RAM scraper. That's not the case with online shopping. So all these breaches were really not online. Online, in this case, was actually safer if you shopped at Home Depot or Target. You were not compromised there.
Well, Scott, I'm glad you brought that up because these mag strips seem to be a major concern. I mean, Target and these other corporations, these are huge. And these mag strips, it seems like there has to be a better way with technology the way it is right now. It's got to be a better way. Is there a better way, like smart cards, something like that we could start implementing?
Yes, absolutely. You hit the point. Smart cards, which is technically chip and pin, which is an embedded microprocessor on the credit card. You're starting to see them. But the U.S. is decades, literally, behind the rest of the world. If you go throughout Europe, smart cards are everywhere. They would not have as many problems if they implemented chip and pin. The reason that retailers haven't done it,
for you, Scott, is why aren't we? Why are we so behind? There's no excuse for that. Look at Apple's just releasing all this great technology, but yet we can't find a better alternative to mag strips, but Europe is? That seems ridiculous to me.
It comes down to the mighty dollar. It would cost several $100s per point-of-sale terminal that would have to be upgraded. So basically you're talking about billions of dollars spent throughout the U.S. Everyone else has done it. We need to do it. We're behind the times.
Well, at some point, we're going to have to because there's just no excuse anymore. Customer confidence has to be restored, especially for corporations like Target, who I trust. But thank you, Scott, so much for being here and giving us some practical tips.